The night was quiet, the park empty except for the soft rustle of leaves. Mr. Evans carefully set up his telescope on its sturdy tripod. He was a retired teacher, but he never really stopped teaching. His classroom was now the open sky. He looked up at the stars, a familiar warmth in his heart. For years, he had shared the wonders of science with his students. Now he wanted to share a different kind of wonder. The wonder of a starry night. He waited. At first, no one came. The park lamps cast small circles of light on the path. Then, a young man walked by, looking tired from a long day. "Good evening," Mr. Evans said softly. "Would you like to see Saturn?" The young man stopped. He seemed surprised. He looked at the telescope, then at the old man's kind face. "Saturn?" he asked. "Yes, with its rings," Mr. Evans said. He adjusted the telescope. The young man looked through the lens. He was silent for a long moment. Then he whispered, "Wow." That single word was everything Mr. Evans hoped for. Word began to spread. The next night, a few more people came. A woman with her little daughter. A couple holding hands. "Look," Mr. Evans said to the little girl. "That bright cluster is called the Pleiades. Some people call it the Seven Sisters." The girl looked, her eyes wide. Her mother smiled. "She loves stars," the mother said. "We have a book about them at home." "Wonderful," Mr. Evans said. He pointed to another part of the sky. He told them stories about the constellations. He spoke of Orion the Hunter and the Great Bear, Ursa Major. His voice was calm and full of excitement. His small gatherings became a quiet tradition. Every clear night he was there. People started to bring their own questions. A teenager asked about black holes. An old man shared that he used to watch the stars as a sailor. Mr. Evans listened to everyone. He was not just showing them the stars. He was giving them a moment of peace. High above the city lights, their daily problems felt smaller. The universe felt big and beautiful. One evening, a regular visitor, a woman named Sarah, brought a blanket and a thermos of hot chocolate. "For you, Mr. Evans," she said. "You must get cold out here." He was touched by her kindness. She started coming every week. One night, she was quiet and looked sad. Mr. Evans didn't ask questions. He simply said, "Tonight, Jupiter is very bright. It's a giant made of gas, but from here, it looks like a steady, hopeful light." Sarah looked through the telescope. She took a deep breath. "It's nice to remember there's so much more out there," she said softly. Seasons changed. The summer sky turned to autumn. The group of viewers changed too. Some came once. Some came often. But each person left with a lifted spirit. A man who had lost his job said seeing the moon's craters made him feel less alone in his struggles. A student stressed about exams found calm in the slow turn of the stars. Mr. Evans gave them more than a science lesson. He gave them perspective. He gave them a shared moment of quiet awe. One cold winter night, only one person came. It was the young man from the very first night. "Remember me?" he asked. Mr. Evans smiled. "Of course. You saw Saturn." The young man nodded. "That night, I was having a really hard time. Seeing that, it gave me a little hope. I started studying astronomy online. Now, I'm going back to school." Mr. Evans felt a deep joy. His simple act had planted a seed. He realized he was not just a viewer of the night sky. He was a connector. He connected people to the universe, and in doing so, he connected them to each other and to themselves. They stood together in the dark, looking at the same ancient light. They didn't need to talk much. The stars spoke for them. They spoke of time, of distance, of beauty that lasted. Eventually, Mr. Evans grew older. His hands were not as steady. Setting up the telescope became harder. But he still came, whenever he could. The community he had built now helped him. They set up the telescope for him. They brought chairs. They continued the tradition. The night sky viewer was not just one man anymore. It was all of them. On his last night in the park, a small crowd gathered. They had all heard he was moving to a smaller apartment. He showed them the Milky Way, a pale river of stars across the sky. "We are part of this," he said, his voice gentle but clear. "All of us. Remember to look up sometimes." They all took a final look through the telescope. There were no grand goodbyes, just a shared feeling of gratitude. Mr. Evans left the park that night, but he left something behind. A young woman, Sarah, now brings her own telescope sometimes. The tradition continues. On any clear night, if you walk through the park, you might see a small group of people, their faces turned upward. They are quiet, thoughtful, connected by the infinite ceiling of the night. They are remembering the old teacher who taught them that the greatest lessons are not always found in books, but sometimes are written in the stars.